VonAllen Sports.
This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching VonAllen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go!
You guys, what are all of y'all doing up right now? Seriously? This is funny. Wow. So, okay. I guess I could quickly explain why I'm doing it so late. I promised I would do a show tonight. Again, I told you the last few days I haven't been feeling very well. No, it's not the China thing. There are other illnesses in the world besides that. I know it's hard to believe, and people don't seem to grasp that, but it's true. But anyway, I didn't want another day to go by. And besides, it's late, but you guys may not believe this, but 10%, or almost 10% of our subscription base is overseas. That means England, Germany, even like Australia and places like that. It's not by chance. I used to advertise a lot in those countries. So I wanted to gather in the football fans that were over there because, they don't have a lot going on. So I was like, how many people are advertising them? So that's why we tend to have a lot of Europeans. And maybe they deserve this one because I noticed that a lot of them haven't been on lately because of the time difference. So maybe they get to check in or not, who knows. But that's a good thing for them. And I figured everybody else probably watch this on playback in the morning or whenever they're up. But if you happen to be up here in America, and if you're up late, I know for me personally, if I see something like this late at night when I'm bored, I'm just on the internet just watching something, I'm like, hell yeah, man, this is cool. Someone's going live like right now. That's pretty awesome. So there's that too. But anyway, how you guys doing? VES Euro Trash Euro Trash Edition. I don't know how animated I'm going to be tonight because, like I said, I'm a bit feeling weird. Give me just 1 second. Okay. So, bad timing as far as this goes because I really wanted to do a show on Sunday, and I had a lot to say regarding the outcome of the game. By the way, is the volume okay for you guys, or do you want me to turn it up a little louder? Let me know. Jalen, Yeah, thank you, man, for asking. Yeah, I'm doing better. I'm doing better. Little sluggish, little um, dizzy, little kind of vertigo type of thing. Um, but if I sit still, everything's okay. So, but yeah, I can tell it's getting better. Thanks, MFMC. I appreciate it, man. Um, okay, so just one second. Okay, so anyway, a lot was going on Sunday. Um, the Jets game, which, oh my God, okay, I have a lot of opinions on that, and we'll get to that. The Patriots absolutely destroyed the Jaguars, putting 50 up on them. That was a big FU to everybody. We are not going to lose to a coach, or I mean, a team that has no coach. Unlike Bruce Arians, who can't beat a team with no coach. Freaking loser. But I was expecting us to not only beat the Jaguars, but to really put a whipping on them. I did not expect 50. Nobody expects 50, no matter what situation it is. That's just crazy. But Mac had the game that I thought he would have a week before, just a little late, you know. But it still doesn't matter. We're going to get in. It's going to be fine. So I think the AFC is kind of weird. I think there's too many teams that are up and down and inconsistent. I'm just not really that sold on anybody except probably Kansas City, and I know that's the easy answer, but it's true. I mean, you got to think about the coaching with the type of players he's got. I don't trust Buffalo anymore, and things like that. But we'll see. Honestly, I'm hoping Pittsburgh sneaks in. I know that's weird. I know we're not big Steelers fans, but I don't care about that. That's, you know, at the end of the day, I run a sports channel as well, and I have to be honest. And I would like to see Ben play in the playoffs. If this is his last year, I would like to see that just for football's sake and posterity's sake and history. I would like to see that. So if the Jaguars can win and the Steelers win their game, the Steelers get in. That would be interesting. Okay. Let me see what you guys are saying real quick. I just want to catch up. Celtics Nation, what's up, man? You're starting to think that it's Brady's last year. Really? Interesting. I don't think so. But I hope not anyway. Scarecrow. Wafu, what's up, man? I like your icon there, the Halo guy. Thomas Kingsland, what's up, man? See it twice. Elliot's here. Mario Yoshi, what's up? I'm not seeing any European people. That's interesting. Z, what's up, man? Freeland is here. Solon Kazos, what's up? Nope, not looking good, huh? Really good prayer. All right. 28 people in the middle of the night. You guys are crazy. All right. Thomas Allen in the house. So, do you guys want me to start with the Antonio Brown thing, or the MVP, or playoff picture? What do you guys want to start with? You tell me, because this is an impromptu thing. I didn't plan it. It just kind of happened. And so I don't have a set schedule for tonight. So, Boston Sports Talk, what's up, man? Okay. Jose Tejada, welcome. It looks like it's overwhelmingly Antonio Brown. Okay. So here's the thing.
Your
And
microphone is hiding his face on the thing.
yeah, that's a good thing. There, now you can see his face. Better? Okay. The Antonio Brown situation is a complicated one, guys, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of aspects to it. There's a lot of Okay, first of all, there's a lot of viewpoints as far as seeing it from Antonio's side, seeing it from the Bucks side, and then there's the what I personally want to see happen, and there's or personally the things I think I wish would happen. I have a bias, of course. I want Bruce Arians gone. I think he is the worst coach I've ever seen. And the reason I say that, and I know some people could say, oh, well, there's been worse coaches who have bad records and stuff. Yeah, go look at those coaches. Look at the teams they've got. But this guy is actually, his teams win in spite of him. Like he's like a extra luggage, okay? He's useless. He's utterly useless. And everything, we do this every single week, okay? We do this every single week. I'm talking about Bruce Arians and stuff. However, things happen, and you have to judge them based on exactly what that situation is. I can't just, oh my God, I hate Bruce Arians. I don't like him. I want him gone. I want him fired. Doesn't mean all of a sudden that I'm just going to go completely crazy all over him regarding this. I want him fired for other reasons. Way more of a problem, I think, than this particular situation. Only because I just think he's an idiot. And we got very lucky that Tom was able to overcome that last year. Those plays in the second half against Green Bay, and I know we talk about it a lot, but that play calling, that was Bruce's decision. He even admitted it later, and he said, I wanted to go for the jugular. I wanted to take him out. Well, that was stupid. So those were forced plays, and Tom went along with them, and he shouldn't have. Tom should have been like, no. And if you noticed at the end of the game, Tom did change the game plan. He did, after the third pick, he said, screw it, and he started dumping it off to Gronk and making those short range, those smart plays that the defense gives you, because Green Bay was playing for those long throws. So anyway, luckily it didn't cost them. Luckily. But how long is that going to run for? But I'm just going to tell you guys what I know, okay? What I've seen in person, and the protocols that I know that teams go through, okay? I'll tell you that first. So when a player is injured, if he cannot get into the game and the player is injured, it's not a situation like it used to be. People are playing towards this old school football thing, and it doesn't work like that anymore. The collective bargaining agreement and the situation with the NFL is so tight-knit about how they handle things, and the concussion protocols and the health aspect of all of it. It is so systematic the way they do things. A coach saying, I don't care if you're hurt. This is according to AB, okay? And I'm going to read his statement here in a second. But a coach saying, no, I don't care if you're hurt. You're going to go in. Okay, that's old school stuff right there. That's from the old days. That's, well, I would admit that probably happened maybe 10, 15 years ago, but not since 2011. Not since the collective bargaining agreement 2011, and then there's been another one since. Not since all that happened. It doesn't work like that. for Bruce Arians to say something like that. Now, first of all, everything is mic'd up. So the NFL has a recording of everything they say. So the entire game, all the NFL has to do is go and look. So they already know what was said. They already know if Bruce Arians said something or not. The only way they don't know if Bruce Arians said that is if he covered up the mic or turned off his receiver when he was talking, which is strange. I don't know if that would be the case. But more than likely, they have on the mic what transpired. Secondly, the protocol itself, AB's story doesn't fit NFL protocol. And again, I'm just wait for it. I'm not coming to a conclusion yet. But let me pull up Antonio Brown's statement. Okay. So he said, "We'll just go. I'm just going to go by this as I'm reading this." So, first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude. This is AB's statement through his lawyer. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude, and you can tell the lawyer wrote it because it's actually readable. Because Antonio Brown, I seriously think that his English abilities is got to be the level of a third grader. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just saying that. Have you read his stuff? It's insane. But first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Bucs fans and my teammates. Wrong. Okay. If you had any gratitude at all, you wouldn't have left in that way, no matter what. Okay. And you owe Tom Brady everything. And Tom Brady is out there on the field, and he comes off the field and asks what the F is going on. He had no idea. He's trying to win a game. They're struggling against a team that the Tom hates. And you're getting naked in the end zone. Okay. So no, your gratitude is not accepted. I don't consider myself a Bucs fan, but I'm a Tom Brady fan, I guess, which by proxy does make me that one. So I am included in this address, and I do not accept his gratitude because I don't think there is any. He said, "The Bucs helped me return to productive football after I had difficulties that could have ended my career." No, Tom Brady helped you return to productive football. The Bucs did not want you. We worked together to resolve those difficulties. Well, I don't know. Did you? And I will always appreciate that. Being part of a Super Bowl champion team and then a contender is a dream come true. I make mistakes. Okay, mistakes. Now, see, this is something that I constantly see with people. Mistakes. All right. A mistake is when you were either trying to do the right thing or you just weren't thinking clearly. Over and over again, this is on purpose. Okay? Whatever. He says, "I'm working on myself and I have positive influences around me. But one thing I don't do is shy away from playing hard on the field. No one can accuse me of not giving it my all every play." Fair enough. "Because of my commitment to the game, I relented to pressure directly from my coach to play injured." Okay. "Despite the pain, I suited up. The staff injected me with what I now know was a powerful and sometimes dangerous painkiller that the NFLPA has warned against using, and I gave it my all for the team." That sentence right there is lawyer talk. Okay? That's a lawyer talk right there. To say that is actually puts him in an awkward position because it means that he did not know that these painkillers, what they're for, and everybody didn't know. That means that you're saying that the Bucs training staff and the entire medical staff, the whole team, is complicit and doing something that is unethical just to get you back on the field. That is that's a big charge. Again, I'm not saying that this is true or not. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying that is a big statement. Okay? That is a lawyer statement. That is a statement that a lawyer would make in order to put the team on the defensive, so they are willing to see. What you want to do is you want to spew as much garbage against the team to the point where they want to just call it even and walk away. And that way, Antonio Brown doesn't look so bad, and then maybe can get on with another team. I played until it was clear that I could not use my ankle to safely perform my playing responsibilities. Okay, this is interesting. On top of that, the pain was extreme. I took a seat on the sideline, and my coach came up to me very upset and shouted, "What's wrong with you?" Okay, before that, he said the pain was extreme. I thought they injected you with a dangerous painkiller, and I played sports, for a long, long time. I did have an injection like that on my, well, it wasn't my ankle, but it was my lower leg. It's you don't feel it, and you don't feel it for a long time, and sometimes it takes a day or two to even it really to be, working. And if they're giving him what I think they gave him, I honestly, I'm not sure how the pain would be extreme. I mean, yeah, it's plausible that there would be some kind of pain. So which is it? Did they give him an extreme painkiller that would have stopped it? Or did they didn't give it to, and he's lying about that, or maybe they gave him a softer painkiller, and then that made the ankle, and then so the ankle would still hurt, which that is plausible as well. But both at the same time, not sure. But again, it's still possible, I guess. He says, I took a seat on the sideline, and my coach came up to me, very upset, and shouted, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" Okay. I told him, "It's my ankle," but he knew that. It was well documented, and we had discussed it. Yeah, that sentence right there is talk that has been in all the articles since this happened. So that's, again, I don't even know if that was, that's added on to the fact that's an afterthought kind of sentence right there. He then ordered me to get on the field. And I said, "Coach, I can't." He didn't call for medical attention. Instead, he shouted at me, "You're done," while he ran his finger across his throat. So Antonio Brown's basically saying, "You're done." Okay. Well, if he did say that, that's on camera, I'm sure. So they've got that, right? So we don't even have to, there will be proof that he did that. Coach was telling me that if I didn't play hurt, then I was done with the Bucs. I do not believe this for a second. This is a flat out lie. There is no way that Bruce Arians said, "If you don't play hurt, then you're done." That there is zero chance that happened. If that happened, Bruce Arians is the biggest piece of garbage that's ever lived. And I don't think that Bruce Arians is a piece of crap person. Okay, I don't know him personally. I don't know anything about him personally other than what we see on and through the lens of football. But he's a terrible coach. But that does not mean that he would put AB in there and say, even though you're hurt, that you're going to get in there or not. I find it hard to believe. I don't know. This just seems to stretch any type of realistic, real-world situation, to be honest with you guys. Again, I am no friend to Bruce Arians, and I would love to see him fired. That would be hilarious. But this situation does not seem believable to me as far as that particular exchange. If he said, "You're done," you're done, you're done. I've heard coaches say, "You're done." You're done means that you're done for the day. It means, okay, you're injured. Okay, you're done for the day. You're done. Okay? That doesn't necessarily mean you're cut or fired. And I'm not even sure if I've ever heard of a coach cutting a guy in a game like that in that moment. Like I said, it may have happened, but it flies in the face of anything that we know to be kind of how things work. He said, I didn't quit. I was cut. I didn't walk away from my brothers. Yeah, you did. You walked away from Mike Evans, dude. Mike Evans told you to keep your pads on, to keep your jersey on, and you basically said F you to him, and you walked away. So you did walk away from your brothers. You did do that, okay? He says, I was thrown out. Being fired on the sideline for having a painful injury was bad enough. Then came their spin. Coach denied on national television that he knew about my ankle. That's 100% inaccurate. Okay. I remember, okay, so Bruce Arians did say that he wasn't aware that Antonio Brown was not going into the game because of his ankle. However, Arians obviously knows that Antonio Brown has had an ankle injury because he was on the injury report, and he was, how many games, guys, did he miss before he was suspended for the fake vaccination card? So obviously everyone knows that he had an ankle injury. That does not mean necessarily that Arians knew that that's why he wasn't going in, if that's the case. But again, if Arians knew that the ankle was why Antonio Brown wasn't going in, that would mean that Bruce Arians directly went against every rule in the book, went against the medical staff, which, again, I'll tell you, is hard to believe only because the medical staff can overrule the coach. So if a doctor and someone on the training staff says this player cannot go, that overrides what the coach wants. And if that was the case, that would be reported. The medical staff would report that. Somebody on the training staff would report that. Somebody on the sidelines would report that if Bruce Arians had said these things, that Antonio Brown can't go. Mike Evans was on the sidelines when this happened. If Mike Evans was aware that Bruce Arians told him that, why would he be trying to talk Antonio Brown out of it? If he had told him that, Antonio Brown was fired, why did Mike Evans try to stop him? Why did O.J. Howard try to stop him? Okay. These are just questions, okay? They're just questions that have to be asked. He said, not only did he know that I missed several games with the injury, he and I exchanged texts before the game where he clearly acknowledged my injury. Again, of course he knew that you were injured days before the game. You were on the injury report, and you were considered game time decision, correct? So, yes, that's obvious. And the GM acknowledged after the game in text messages to my camp that I did tell Coach about my ankle pain on Sunday. The GM acknowledged after the game in text messages to my camp that I did. Has he provided these text messages? That's weird. So he's saying that Jason Light, the general manager of the Bucs, acknowledged that Antonio Brown complained about his ankle, and that's very interesting. So if that's true, if they've got proof of this, that Jason Light had acknowledged that, Bruce Arians' career is over. Wouldn't you agree? That's we finally get rid of him. Where is this text message? I want to remind you guys, this is the Antonio Brown who leaked a conversation between him and John Gruden while John Gruden was trying to do him a favor. This is the Antonio Brown who leaked Instagram direct messages between him and Juju Smith-Schuster when Juju was a college kid, asking him for tips and pointers. And Antonio Brown released those messages. He was trying to make Juju look bad, but actually it blew up in his face. This is the guy who records people, doesn't tell them about it, and releases it. And there's no release of this, and that's... I need to see that. I think that right there would be everything. that text message of Jason Light acknowledging that is everything. If that's real, you should have posted it by now. And it's a slam dunk. Overnight, Antonio Brown will get everything he wants, and Bruce Arians is gone. In fact, if that's real, Antonio Brown might still be playing for the Bucks. So that's huge. That's massive. Where is this text message? I also want to point out that Bruce Arians has a long history of letting players play when they really shouldn't, not necessarily for injury, but just maybe the playoffs are sewn up or something like that, and he shouldn't be putting them at risk out there. He lets them play because they want their incentives. He's got a history of doing that. He's got a history of actually changing the game plan to get a guy a ball or a catch so he can get those incentives. If Antonio Brown wasn't supposed to be playing, people can argue on Sunday, maybe he had let Antonio Brown play to get those incentives. Maybe not, who knows. But we know from Antonio Brown's past that money is not the motivation for his crazy behavior. All he had to do when he was with New England is keep his mouth shut for a week. Actually, it wasn't even a week, if you guys remember. Keep his mouth shut for 3 days, and he makes $30 million. He couldn't even do that. So missing his incentives on $1 million is nothing for this guy, because I think he's got serious problems. And but that's we don't have any proof of that either. See, we don't have proof of anything right now. Nobody's released anything. Okay, continue. Oh, actually, wait. Do we have a super chat? Oh, okay. First super chat of the night. Thank you. Nefertiti sends $10 super chat. She says, my first thought when I saw AB acting out, what was he on? Well, maybe that painkiller has something to do with it. Well, those painkiller injections that they give them, they don't work the same way a Percocet would work generally. These injections, they go to the root of the problem, but they do not go. They don't create that euphoric feeling the way like morphine would or something. So they generally numb the areas. It could. I think. Yeah. So, but we'll get to that. Oh, that's right. That's right. The 30 mil was Oakland. I'm sorry. I said the Patriots. It was Oakland, I guess. Okay. Yeah. But the point was that money was not the thing that he considers. And that right there, any normal person would consider those things. He doesn't consider them. So I'm not sure if the incentive deal is usable or not. Okay, so to continue. He says, I know we were losing to the Jets, and that was frustrating for all of us, especially Tom Brady. But I could not make football plays on that ankle. Okay. Again, we're not out there. We're not in his head. He knows what he can do, right? But what he put on tape on Sunday was a damn good game. Okay. He ran one route that had that broke the defensive back's ankles, dude. I mean, it looked like, Steve Nash or John Stockton or Allen Iverson coming down the court and just completely destroying the defense. He was doing that kind of crap out there. And doing those things may have caused the pain to come back quicker or quickly. And again, that's possible, but it looked fine as far as that goes. But again, it's his viewpoint on this. But But he says there's a major difference between launching from the line and taking hits compared to jogging off the field with a rush of emotions going through your mind. Okay, so he's trying to address the argument that everybody has been making that if he was so injured, why is he doing jumping jacks in the end zone? That is a good point. I don't know if you guys have had ankle injuries or anything like that, but just spraining your ankle is awful. It's excruciating, but not only does it hurt, pain is only one aspect. Another problem with hurting your ankle is that it doesn't function. So it won't let you go. So even if you could put up with the pain, it kind of holds you back a bit. To think that he was running those routes and then he was so hindered by it that he couldn't play anymore, but yet he could run off, do jumping jacks, act like a complete idiot. Could he do that? Yeah, he could. Okay, I guess. But doesn't sound like something that, I or anyone else would probably be doing in that situation. See, I wouldn't even be butchering this if it wasn't for his history. But this guy can't be trusted with anything. So if this was about a player that we have no reason to doubt or has no history of doing anything, I would be like, okay, wow, But we've got to really look at this. And trust me, I hate losing him. I want Tom to get another Super Bowl, and this makes things a bit different now. So he says, I am reflecting on my reaction, but there was a trigger. The trigger was someone telling me that I'm not allowed to feel pain. Okay. I acknowledge my past, but my past does not make me a second-class citizen. My past does not forfeit my right to be heard when I am in pain. But your past does tell you that you're a liar quite a bit. So that is relevant. It's absolutely relevant. Would you guys, it's the same thing as when someone's got a history of something. Would you loan a guy money who is stolen from you how many times? You wouldn't, right? So it's not crazy to question this. He says, first they cut me, now they cage me. Instead of asking how I felt or getting to the bottom of it, the team texted my camp, promoting a total false narrative that I randomly acted out without any explanation. Okay, so the team texted his camp promoting a total false narrative, but Jason, like the GM, acknowledged that he was in the right. So apparently Jason, like the general manager of the team, is different than the team. They're two different things, I guess. And he says they. Who are they? What does that mean? Does that mean the owner? They even told us in writing, don't spin this any other way. Okay, it's in writing. Great. More stuff in writing. I want to see that. This would be easy. Dude, if this is in writing, if this is true, we win, guys. We win. We get rid of Bruce Arians, and AB is probably back on the team, and it means that he really was trying and he really wasn't losing his mind. That would be great, right? So let's see it. I want to see it. But the worst part of this has been the Bucs' repeated effort to portray this as a random outburst. Well, it certainly looked like one. They are telling people that I first walked off, then I was cut. No. I was cut first, and then I went home. They threw me out like an animal, and I refused to wear their brand on my body, so I took my jersey off. Again, that's lawyer talk right there. That's spin. So, yeah, it's expected. As part of their ongoing cover-up, wow, they are acting like I wasn't cut and now demanding that I see a doctor of their choice to examine my ankle. Wait a minute. Melina, so the Bucs, she's not paying attention in. I'm glad you guys are watching. All right. So the Bucs somehow wanted him to go to a doctor and get it checked after they cut him. This makes me think that when Bruce Arians said you're done, it means you're done for the day. That's what that makes me think. But after he walked off, Bruce Arians was pissed off and he says he's no longer a Buck. And then after that, I'm assuming that Jason Light, the general manager, probably said, hey, wait a minute, we can't do that. Because if we cut him, he could go to another team or all that, or there's salary cap implications, or he even said, let's contact the NFL and make sure we're doing the right thing. Bruce Arians seemed like he was reacting to Antonio Brown walking the way he walked off, not reacting to the fact that he had cut him on the field. I don't know. I think that might be a misunderstanding as far as between AB and Bruce goes. Because we've heard, like I said, we've heard coaches say, you're done. You're done. And it means you're done for the day. So. And then saying they threw me out like an animal. Come on, man. What are you talking about? That just sounds ridiculous. As part of their ongoing cover-up, they're acting like I wasn't cut and that I see a doctor of their choice to examine my ankle. What they did not know until now is that on Monday morning, I had an urgent MRI on my ankle. It shows broken bone fragments stuck in my ankle, the ligament torn from the bone, and cartilage loss, which are beyond painful. You can see the bone bulging from the outside, but that must and can be repaired. The MRI has been read by 2 top orthopedic surgeons in New York City, including Dr. O'Malley at Hospital for Special Surgery. Not realizing that I had already scheduled a surgery at HSS, the Bucks ordered me, under penalty of discipline and with a few hours' notice, to show up to a more junior doctor at HSS for another opinion. What a joke. They're playing like I wasn't cut, giving me a surprise attack order to show up to another doctor with no reasonable notice and settle this whole thing up as a basis to cut me because what they did on Sunday was not legitimate. Sorry, GM. I already received a confirming opinion from the top doc at the hospital you ordered me to go to. Okay. First of all, if you did an MRI right now on half the players on the Bucks that played on Sunday, you're going to find problems. You're going to find something on those MRIs that would make a case that they're in pain. These guys play every week with injuries, and ankles don't heal in a week. So Antonio Brown, if he's playing injured. Okay, so is Mike Evans. So is probably more than half the defense out there. All the offensive linemen are probably injured. I'd hate to see their MRIs. Probably looks like Swiss cheese on the inside. Okay? So you could take that and you could put it under a microscope, and if you add the story to it, it looks like that every player was being forced to play injured, but that is the nature of sports. This is how it works. You do whatever you can to get on the field within reason. And the training staff and the medical staff, it's their job to ensure that that is the case, that it's within reason. If you take a guy out, shut him down for the year over every little thing, and I'm not saying this is a little thing, I'm just saying, for example, we would never have these players out on the field and they would never get anything done. That's just the nature of the game here. It's a bit conflicting, the attitude of some people, because they're saying that football is no longer a man's game, blah, 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 and all this crap. But at the same time, when it comes to things like this, they're all like, oh, man, but mental health, bro, and his ankles hurt, bro, and blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, they're saying that football is now a pansy sport. It's kind of a weird thing. I mean, is it or is it not? That's what I'm wondering. So, yes, these guys play hurt. But again, I can tell you from personal experience in watching the dynamic between the medical staff and the players themselves, there is a very strict protocol there. And for what AB is saying, for that to be true, would mean that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers violated a very, very major rule in the NFL, and they're going to be in a lot of trouble if this is true. Okay? So that's what makes me think that it's not exactly how this sounds. There are some missing elements here because it'd be hard to believe. I mean, Arians and the coaching staff and all them, they deal with injuries every week. They're constantly got guys out, guys in. Why now all of a sudden are they telling AB to get on the field? Why now? Okay? Of all the players that have been injured and play hurt, it's only Antonio Brown for the first time ever that this has come up, and it happens to be with a guy who is a walking clown show. Okay? So you see what I'm saying? This goes to character. And AB says, "Oh, I'm aware of my history." Well, dude, your history means that we've got to think about these things. It's just, he says, "I love the Bucs fans, I really do. I love my teammates and everyone who showed me grace and believed in me. I gave the Bucs everything I had on the field. What the organization is doing now needs to get cleaned up. I do not understand how people publicly claiming to be concerned about my mental health can do these things to me in private. Once my surgery is complete, I'll be back to 100% and looking forward to next season. Business going to be booming." All right. Oh, we have a new member. Oh, yes. Diaburst has just become a member and joined the Centurion, the Centurion Master of Games $5 level. Thank you, Diaburst. I really appreciate it, man. Welcome to the Empire. That's awesome. Just 1 second. I will say that his behavior after all this happened is not a good look. And then, again, it doesn't mean that it's I'm not using this as a way to disprove anything that went on. But I'm saying that it's probably a good idea not to immediately take a picture of yourself dressed up, acting like nothing happened. It's probably not a good idea to film yourself in the car ride on the way to wherever your hotel, I guess, joking around. It's probably not a good idea to be seen at a Nets game, front row or whatever, you know, just doing all this stuff while you're trying to achieve a look or a certain sympathy by the fan base and by people in general, if that is the deal that you're wanting to, if that's the story you're wanting to convey. And that's just typical Antonio Brown for you, though. If it was me, well, I wouldn't have done that anyway. But if I had an outburst like that for those reasons that Antonio Brown says he did them, I would be laying low and, you know, not doing anything that wasn't really thought out and deliberate that would affect the situation and help myself. So, but again, that's who he is. I hope, I hope it would be funny if Arians did all this, because he'd be gone and we'd get rid of him. But I just don't know. I just don't know, man. And it's hard to believe him. If he did it, or I mean, if Arians did this exactly the way Antonio Brown says, that would mean that not only did Bruce Arians violate all those things, but nobody on the team either heard him do it, or if they did, they covered it up. So that's going to open up a whole can of worms, man. Don't you think that Antonio Brown, if his ankle was hurting him, he would have told Tom in the huddle? Don't you think that he would have mentioned this to somebody? Honestly, I've heard apparently either the driver or I'm not sure, somebody close to him, around him, said that he was actually upset because Tom was targeting Gronk and not him. That is more believable than this story. You know what I mean? That's more believable. So that's Antonio Brown. That's typical Antonio Brown right there. The getting jealous that someone is getting the attention, and maybe he wanted his incentives and felt like he wasn't on his way to get them, and Tom was targeting, because you got to remember, guys, he completely screwed Tom Brady over, and that's what we need to talk about here. Is that the way he acted, even the way he handled it, even if it's true, even if he was told, forced to go back in the game, the way he handled it makes Tom look like an ass. It makes Tom look like an idiot for defending him. And now the media is having a field day with this, and they're loving it. See, Tom Brady backed the wrong guy, and he should have learned his lesson. And the Bucs should have turned away from him after he faked his vaccine card and all this stuff. So all of a sudden now it's on Brady, you know? So he screwed Tom over too. God, we should do more shows in the middle of the night. Jesus Christ. See it twice. It's a $5 super chat. He says, you know who really hopes Bruce did this? John Gruden. That's right. John Gruden would be off the hook, right? Oh, that's funny. Wavu says, damn, work getting in the way of me listening to the show. I know, that sucks. And See It Twice says, just take off your shirt, run out to the parking lot, do some jumping jacks, and wave goodbye. I like that. I like that. So, and tell them that you had quote Moses and say, what I have done, I was compelled to do. Just get out. All right? So it always ends like that, doesn't it? It always ends like that. So any way to screw Tom over, basically. Now, no matter what, so yeah, actually, Selman, I was about to go there, so good timing. Even if that was the case, you don't leave the field like that. You just don't. That he's still at fault for that. So if he misunderstood, or if he was cut or whatever, you don't leave the field like that, because you still need a job in the future. You still need to show that you're not a complete psychopath, and you don't want to add to that. So, but again, this is Antonio Brown. If he thought clearly, he wouldn't have this reputation, would he? I have never seen him handle anything with grace, nearly ever. I just don't. last week, the media was asking him about why he faked his vaccination card, and then he attacked the press, which, in all honesty, I don't really care, but I'm just trying to show that he said, you guys are all about drama, and then he takes off his pads and gets half naked into to the end zone while they're playing a game and while the team is on the field a week later. So, yeah. There's also some stories coming out that the Bucs had been kind of pissed at him for what he did and got the team, a lot of negative attention. And so it was kind of cold around the locker room for Antonio Brown. And so that, with the combination of that already kind of brewing, along with watching Tom hit Gronk and try to target Gronk a lot during the Jets game, that could have, in his crazy ass mind, regardless if this has happened or not, Antonio Brown is a nut job, all right? And whatever is happening in his head, he took that to mean that, oh, everyone's against me. It's a conspiracy. Like, oh, and Tom Brady's targeting Gronk because he's mad at me for what I did. Bruce Arians, is mad at me. Everybody's mad at me. And somehow he put that in his head that everyone's out to get him. Does that sound like it? Yeah, it does. So there's a lot of different things here that could be true that sound more plausible than Bruce Arians saying, I don't care if you're injured, you're going out there on the field. That is the least plausible thing to me, in my opinion. But again, if it's true, guess what? This is a win-win. Well, no, it's not a win-win, actually. Well, it's a win-win in the sense that if it's not true, then I'm right, which, okay, big deal. But if I'm wrong, and Bruce Arians did do this, well, that's a bigger victory because we get rid of the worst coach I've ever seen in my life.
Who comes as a coach?
Huh?
And who will be the coach?
Who becomes the coach? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A fish? I'm sorry, a dead fish? An octopus? I think they have a cute girl who is like an assistant trainer. I think she like puts Band-Aids on and stuff. She could be head coach. Why not? So it doesn't matter. Just anybody who is not a big doofus like this. A guy who sells out his players and then he doesn't even understand the nuances of why those things happen and then sells them out before even looking at tape. You know what Bill Belichick does after a press conference? Hey, Bill, did you think that was a bad throw by Tom Brady? Yeah, I got to look at the tape. What'd you think about that missed kick? Got to look at the tape. Okay. Bruce Arians, hey, what'd you think about Tom Brady and that interception? Stupid throw, bad throw, didn't pay attention, doesn't know the offense, can't figure out the offense, slow, it's not blah, 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 blah. Really? And then 2 days later, oh yeah, by the way, about that, yeah, it was Mike Evans' fault. Whoops. Idiot. Or how about the guy who says, nobody runs on us? And then teams proceed to put 200 yards of rushing on your ass every time you run your mouth, dummy. Yes, Salmon, exactly. The week before, Antonio Brown was targeted 10 to 15 times, closer to 15 times, right? Had over 100 yards. And now Antonio thinks it's some kind of conspiracy against him. We allegedly. We got to use that word, allegedly. So, but doesn't it sound like it's legit? I have to say, guys, if Antonio Brown is at fault here, if he is the one, it's exactly how it seems that he didn't want to go in. His refusal to go in could have been him protesting against what he thought was a slight against him. And then Bruce is saying, get your ass in there, right? But if Antonio Brown is the one at fault here, completely at fault, I mean, that means that this was going down a road that was really bad. It means that this was going to manifest itself in the playoffs. Don't you guys find it interesting that for the first time that Antonio Brown is now one of the most featured players on the offense. So Godwin's out, and now Antonio Brown can shine. He can be like, okay, now you're needed. The moment he had a little bit of power, because he knew he was needed, this happens. The very moment. So up until now, he wasn't needed in the sense that he was needed in the past when, we was, playing in Pittsburgh, for example. So they didn't need him, and he knew that. So he stayed on his best behavior. He was trying to do the right thing. But the moment that he realized that Tampa Bay needs him, listen, when Tampa Bay did not get rid of him after the vaccination situation, now, personally, I don't give a crap, okay? Other than the fact that I would have given a crap if the Buccaneers had been penalized for some reason, and it would have hurt Tom's chances. But the fact that he did that, and then the Bucs didn't cut him, and then you add the Godwin going out, he immediately thought, I've got power now. They need me. He saw weakness there. He saw that they need him, and they have to have him. And it's clown show time. It's time for the clown. And let Antonio Brown put on his makeup and his red hair and everything and let him become the clown that he is. And it came out, and it got released. That sounds interesting to me. It's just weird timing. This is the one chance. This is the time for him to shine. This was it. He takes this. He kicks ass in the playoffs as the number 2 guy. This guy is getting paid next year. He was just a few games away, just the rest of the season, to where he could say he has 2 years now with the Bucs, where in a football manner, he was on his best behavior, not counting that stupid incident, but as on the field and as a teammate, he could go to other teams and say, look what I've done. I'm back. I'm back to the Antonio Brown before Vontaze Burfict gave me CTE. I'm back to that guy. And he could have done that. And he just lost it. And now he's back to the idiot again. So some team was going to throw money at him next year. Now, if anybody gives him a chance, it's going to be another 1-year prove-it deal with $1.5 million base salary or some stupid crap like that, and then incentives out the wazoo or whatever, right? This guy just doesn't learn. And again, if they had cut him, well, good for you, man. Good for you. If that happened and they cut you, you're in the right. Don't walk off like a clown. Walk off. Just go to the locker room. People think maybe you're injured, maybe something's wrong, who knows? Nobody is thinking about it. You're not messing with your teammates. You're not screwing up the dynamic for those guys. You said you love your teammates. You said you appreciate your teammates. So you go to the locker room quietly and you think, okay, I'm not a Buck anymore, but I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, and someone will pick me up. You could have done that too. So, and his outburst just shows that he can't handle any kind of diversity when it comes to someone challenging him or someone saying something to him that he doesn't like. So, just no matter which way you spin it, he does not come off as a good guy here. I don't care. Even if that is true, even if Bruce Arians did the unthinkable, which is told him you can't go, and I mean you have to play even if you're hurt. The way he handled it is still idiotic. I still would not sign this guy. I still wouldn't, no matter, because I would think that's me next. As a coach, I would think, man, if I make one slip up or do anything wrong, or maybe I just wasn't thinking clearly that day, or I said something to him, this guy's going to go off, and I'm going to become front page news for no reason. Anybody who takes a chance on this guy now, after all that, I just wouldn't. It's too much trouble. So. I'm just wondering how they're going to handle it. So what's the contracts? There must be something going on with the situation. But, yeah. But that's my assessment. I don't know what if y'all agree or if you don't agree or whatever. And like I said, I'm no friend of Bruce Arians. There's nobody you guys probably know that hates Bruce Arians more than me. I can't stand the guy. I want him gone. I want him cut. But at the same time, that does not. And by the way, who's been a bigger supporter of Antonio Brown than me, right? I was mad when they cut him. I have been a fan of Antonio Brown, the player, not the person. When he was on the Patriots, I was pissed that he got cut. And when I saw that he came to play with Tom, I wanted him to fix himself. And I trusted Tom. Like, if Tom thinks he's good enough, if Tom thinks he's redeemable, then who am I to argue with that, right? So this isn't, there's no bias here, really. I mean, I know how things work on NFL teams pretty much. And this just seems shocking that Bruce Arians would do that. It just seems stupid, honestly. So that would be career suicide for Arians to do something like that. And it would be out of character because he's doing this every week. So anyway. I don't know if that's the reaction you guys were expecting or not, but that's how it looks. Okay. Get this idiot's face off the background for a second. And when I say that idiot's face, I bet you don't know who I'm talking about. I could be talking about either one of them, right? So.
I think I know which one.
I'm sorry, just looking at Bruce Arians, I just want to punch this guy in the face. He just infuriates me. Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen.
What happened?
Nothing. I covered my face up with the background. I just covered my whole face up like whoop. So. Welcome, new people. By the way, if you've never been on here before, please subscribe. We welcome you here. We're like a tight-knit group here, so I'd love to have you and keep you around. And at the top, there's a link to join the membership level if you want. And you can watch every past all VAS Live episodes, especially if you've ever been on VAS Live. If you were a guest or something, that's a good thing to have. You can have that as an archive for yourself. And that's always pretty cool. Yeah, Bruce Arians is worthless. I can't believe that guy got Coach of the Year twice. It's like, for what? Coach of the Year is a funny award. It's never really, it's not truly the real Coach of the Year. It's a participation trophy kind of thing. It's, oh, you did good. You did your job. Good job. Good job. Oh, this guy, of course you deserve Coach of the Year. He took so-and-so crappy team and they went 11-5. So? You're getting $5 million a year. You better damn well go 11-5. You want me to give you an award for that? Okay, big deal. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, it's so stupid. I'm not sure what the evaluation is for Coach of the Year, but it's clearly not that great. But speaking of this, so that moves us on next to the next dumbass story of the day. And I will screenshot this and show it to you guys. Give me just a second. Okay. You guys know about this? Pro Football Talk reports that one of the 50 voters who will decide this year's MVP award says he has ruled out voting for Aaron Rodgers, calling him a bad guy and the biggest jerk in the league.
Wow.
So this is one of those rare moments. I usually don't care about getting credit for anything, but this is one of those rare moments where I pat myself on the back. I'll do double pat. Wow. Okay. Why am I patting myself on the back? Because for years, I have said that the voting for MVP is biased nonsense. It is nothing to do with football. And if it does have something to do with football, they only focus on very few things. They focus they have like a one-track mind when it comes to quarterback or any other player for MVP and how they assess that. But most of it is bias. This is why I came up with the quarterback formula to begin with. And I'm going to read you something that I wrote recently regarding this because I couldn't go live, but I was able to write this up. So basically PFT reported, like I said, one of the 50 voters would decide this year's MVP, calling him a bad guy and biggest jerk in the league. I think we all know really what they're referencing to. All right. But this guy right here is the exact problem I've been referring to when it comes to media bias. The MVP is by the Associated Press, right? So one of the most biased news outlets in America, although that's obvious, it's a news outlet in America. If this guy is willing to admit that his decision-making is based on personal feelings, then how many times in the past has someone won an MVP or not won for a bias such as this? He can't be the only one, right? And this guy has to be kicked off the committee if he hasn't already. Hopefully he already has. I know you guys are probably like, whoa, is Aaron defending Aaron Rodgers? No, I'm not defending Aaron Rodgers. I'm not defending Aaron Rodgers. I am defending what is right. I don't care. My bias for Aaron Rodgers, as far as my personal feelings, has nothing to do with him as a player, and you cannot not vote for him for MVP. If you don't vote for Aaron Rodgers, it needs to be because Tom Brady is the MVP this year, not because you don't like Aaron Rodgers, or let's be honest, it's all because of that vaccination situation. It makes you have to ask, though, did Tom Brady not get MVP in 2016 because of Deflategate? Is that why they didn't give it? Oh, but Aaron, he missed 4 games. Really? Well, Joe Montana got MVP and he missed 3 games. Does anybody believe that Tom Brady wasn't the most important player in 2016? Are you kidding? Did Peyton Manning get the 2008 MVP for basically just being Peyton Manning? Did he deserve it? Go back and look at that situation. He did not deserve it. That was not MVP worthy. All right, but what about the most egregious one? When Priest Holmes in 2003 led the Chiefs to a better record, only to lose to Peyton and Steve McNair. What the hell, guys? Priest Holmes that year, that honestly is the MVP snub of all time. That is the worst case I've ever seen. In fact, I would say that many of Peyton Manning's MVPs are suspect. And we all know he was the darling of the NFL media world. For comparison, Tom has always, and you guys know this very well, Tom has always had to be the far and away obvious pick to get any love. All 3 of his MVPs, it had to be okay, it's pretty clear that he's the best player in the league. Don't get me wrong. I want Tom to win this over Aaron Rodgers this year, but not because of bias against Aaron personally. That's just wrong, and it devalues the MVP itself. Do we want Tom to win an MVP because they didn't like Aaron, or because they thought Tom was better than Aaron? That's the difference. The moment you do that, it means that the trophy doesn't mean anything. It means the MVP means nothing, and we can't even talk about it anymore as a useful attribute to a player and his legacy. Our MVP formula doesn't know that Rodgers had that incident with the press. Our MVP formula doesn't know about Brady and Deflategate. Our formula doesn't know that I'm a Brady fan. And our formula doesn't know that I'm not a fan of Rodgers. The formula only knows football. That's it. So this is my problem with it. Yes, I want Tom to win. But not for these reasons. I agree, Freeland. 2008 should have went to Kurt Warner. I agree. You should not be allowed to play or not be allowed to vote. And I don't think that Associated Press should be hosting the MVP award anymore. I think it should be done through the NFL, and I think that it should be football people only. It's not going to 100% make it, bias proof, but it should be made up of representatives from every team. So you've got an equal amount. These sports writers, they're nothing but biased. There is no one more biased than journalists. No one. I mean, don't get me even started on journalists and with regular news and political news. I mean, that stuff is disgusting. I was telling this to Milena earlier today. I was watching an interview where NBC interviewed Vladimir Putin, president of Russia. And after I was done watching it, I was like, okay, that's weird. A lot of the things seemed a bit over the top, and the way they kind of formatted it. And then at the end, it said, there was a link to, someone had advertised a link or whatever to the original interview, the full interview without interruption. And when I watched it, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. You know, they had cut his answers up and put them with different questions. And it's one thing to know that the media is fake and biased. It's another to see it, to actually witness it, you know? And I'll give this example. You have a friend that betrayed you, right? But you've never seen evidence of it. You just know, they betrayed you, but you never actually had to experience or witness the actual betrayal itself. And that's one thing. So there's a little part of you that maybe hopes that it wasn't as bad as it seems. But then someone gives you evidence of that happening, and then they were recording of that person betraying you. That is, even though you knew they betrayed you, hearing it or seeing it is a completely different thing, and it's just way worse. And that's what happened to me when I saw this. I was like, my God, I was just trying to understand the diplomatic situation between us and Russia. That's one of my big interests is geopolitics and international relations. And I just couldn't believe how sleazy NBC was. And this was just total propaganda, complete propaganda. And what's funny is that they didn't have to do that because Vladimir was lying quite a bit. And if you just presented it as that, most people could figure out what was going on. They didn't have to do that, but they did it anyway. And it just discredited the whole damn thing. And my point is, they do that. That just shows you that there's no shame. There's no, they have no problem. They don't care about integrity. Journalistic integrity does not exist. And these are the people who are voting for MVP. How many of these asshats come from the New York journalist area that hate Tom? I wonder how many MVPs Tom probably lost because they didn't like him. And like I said, Tom always had to be overwhelmingly awesome to get those. You know, it had to be a situation. But if it was kind of, equal, he would lose out. Yeah. So this year it just happens to work in our favor to where they're attacking Aaron. But what about next year? What about next year? Is it going to happen against Tom? Because we certainly know it's happened before. So that's my, can't be like them, man. Can't be like them. They're scum, and I don't care. I don't want to see Aaron get a 4th MVP. Are you kidding me? Ugh. Could you imagine how hard it's going to be to deal with if Aaron Rodgers wins a 4th MVP and then he wins the Super Bowl and wins MVP? He'd be the first quarterback to do that since Kurt Warner in '99. Do you really believe that I want to see that happen? Hell no. I just want Tom to win. Legitimately. And honestly, there is no reason to have to vote against Aaron for any other reason other than the fact that Tom is MVP this year. Why is Tom MVP? Tom is MVP this year because he's a 44-year-old man, okay, on a team that has been through all kinds of crap this year. And the dude is still killing it. He's still killing it. People also don't take into account, they look at people, and I've complained about this before, but people constantly look at the interception to touchdown ratio. Well, okay. There's been years where Tom only threw 2 interceptions as well. Tom has more attempts. Tom throws it more. Tom throws it farther. Tom's air yards per attempt is farther. What happens when you do those things? You put the ball at risk. So things are going to happen. Now we got to look at how many of Tom's interceptions were the fault of an idiot. How many drops does Tom have this year? How many of his receivers just dropped perfect passes compared to Tom? You got to take those things into account. Aaron virtually has had no turnover this year, right? I mean, I know he's missing an offensive lineman, Bakhtiari, but for the most part, he's had all of his guys, right? But, and again, Aaron's had a great year too. If Tom wasn't doing the way he's doing, I would say Aaron is the winner. So that's not what I'm saying. But we're having to cut between these two guys who are playing excellent. We have to cut, and we have to look at every little thing now. We have to be very, very picky, and that's the issue. So. I just don't want Tom to win it because of bias. And now that this has been revealed, we can't trust it. Let me ask you this. If you were a bettor and you bet on boxing, and you found out that there was a boxer who it was revealed that he admitted it. Let's say he admitted that he had through a fight one time in his career. Would you ever bet on him again? Would you ever trust anything he did ever again? You would think, okay, not only is this fighter tainted, but the organization he fights for and everyone around him someone probably knew. You couldn't trust it anymore. You couldn't validate it anymore. Maybe even you take this fighter out of contention because you don't know if they were trying to win sometimes or if their losses, if they took a dive. Now that we're aware of one voter who is biased, completely biased and not thinking the football way, how many more are biased? How many of these guys, of these 50, are not biased against Rodgers, but biased against Tom? How many of these guys probably hate Brady? How many of them are probably from New York, where they hate Tom with a passion? We just can't know. So. Salman, I think when See It Twice is regarding Aaron's stats, See It Twice, you could of course say it yourself. I think what you mean by that is you're talking about efficiency, right? So you're talking about the efficiency ratio and the efficiency statistics on a per basis. And assuming that is what you're talking about. And then you've got to add that he's got the number one seed. I don't know. Okay, this is barring that Tom wins next week and they have the number 2 seed and Tom plays a good game. He doesn't have a trash game. I don't see how having one better game and having the number 1 seed versus number 2 seed is that big of a difference to make up all the other things that Tom has over Aaron. And I know they're not going to look at this stuff, but Aaron's year is not been that challenging. People also want to talk about Tom's game against the Saints, and they conveniently forget that in week 1, Rodgers got annihilated by them. So he had a worse game. Despite how bad Tom's game was against the Saints a few weeks ago, Aaron had a worse game than that. So people don't care about that. Aaron lost to the Vikings as well, division opponent. That is not that great. So both guys have losses to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. It's just Tom has, one more? So, yeah. So, yep, I agree, Salman. Uh, MVP should not be about efficiency. Otherwise, Tony Romo should have won MVP in 2014. And you're right, that's the case. Efficiency cannot be the one all thing because it lacks a lot of context. There are different reasons for that, like I spoke of. If you're putting the ball in the air quite a bit, you're going to have lesser efficiency stats than Aaron would. So that's just how it works. If they're only looking at efficiency, well, what if they're looking at a completion percentage? Well, what if you're throwing 5-yard passes all the time? And I remember people using this against Tom, and rightfully so. I would say that a guy who is, airing it out and has a few more interceptions is probably deserves, the benefit of the doubt considering that. And they just don't put these into account. Drew Brees has got and I'm not crapping on Drew Brees, okay? I think he's one of the all-time greats. But it's just he's a perfect example. The guy's got a crazy completion percentage, and look at a lot of his years, the completion percentage is out of this world. Have you watched Drew Brees' games? Have you seen him? Do you know how much of that was just okay? We don't even include completion percentage in our formula because it is pointless. Completion percentage is worthless, in my opinion. A guy's got a completion percentage of 70%, or another guy's got 62%. Okay, wow. Okay, yeah. But the guy that's got 70% is barely throwing the ball, and they're not moving the ball down the field. The guy with 62% is moving the ball and got crazy amounts of yards and all this other stuff. Yeah, give me the guy with the 62% completion percentage. So you got to look at those things. But a lot of times these guys don't. They look at one thing. Oh, quarterback rating. Oh, my God. Or that stupid QBR. Or passer rating and QBR. They look at QBR sometimes, which, well, whatever. And what's funny about our formula is that we reward. This is what's so funny about everything. We give bonus, like extra weight to quarterbacks who run the ball or have a rushing touchdown. We give it a little extra. Why? Because it's not as common. So the more rare something is, the more, a little bit more that you get. Because you're still achieving the same result. Now, if it becomes more 50-50, then that's when we would adjust the formula to equal the two. But as long as one is more rare than the other, it kind of balances out. Even with that, pocket passers are still dominating the formula. Even with that skew. So I don't know what they're looking at exactly. I will say this, Elliot, if you're still watching, Elliot, just for fun, I imported 2019 into the formula, and Lamar Jackson did come out the winner for the regular season in 2019. So for the regular season, our formula would have agreed with the NFL. That's interesting, isn't it? So. The If Aaron Rodgers wins the MVP, no, now that we know there is bias against them, and this bias exists, then that means they really do believe that he was better. So there's not much we can do about it, right? I just, I cannot fathom how hard it is to going to be to deal with idiots if this guy wins the MVP and wins the Super Bowl. That is just going to be, boom. That is going to be horrible. Can you imagine, guys? Could you imagine how bad that's going to suck? But the reason I mentioned Jackson is just because I just wanted to say that, because someone had mentioned before that our formula seems to cater to pocket passers. Well, explain to me how Lamar Jackson won then. So, no, it's not the case. We just look at the position of quarterback. Everything that, and all the things that entails. And you got to go with that. I wouldn't want a dual threat quarterback for my team. You know, I don't want the Patriots having a dual threat quarterback. I don't, you know, it's too, they're going to be injured. They're going to be, and all, dude, it invites sacks constantly. And any player who has that tendency to run with the ball, they almost always do that the moment their first or second read breaks down. And that would drive me insane. I get frustrated just watching other teams when I'm maybe going for that one team. Like when I watch the Ravens, I go for the Ravens quite a bit, depending on who they're playing. And it drove me nuts sometimes watching, Lamar run with the ball when it wasn't warranted. Some years he doesn't do that as bad, but there's times where it's really infuriating. And ask a Chiefs fan if they would have preferred that Mahomes was 100% pocket passer in the Super Bowl. Had he been, the defense would not have been able to do what they did. Now, I'm not saying that they wouldn't have been able to get to him, but it would not have been as bad. And all of that running around that Patrick Mahomes was doing, that was him trying to play hero ball because he didn't know how to read the defense beforehand. And he did not want to stay in the pocket and get rid of the ball. There's a lot of ways around that. If you've got injured offensive linemen, don't tell me that. Go to 2015. That offensive line sucked in New England. Tom still came within one. Steven Gostkowski missed extra point, freaking idiot, of tying that game, possibly winning in Denver. There are ways around this. He only missed two of his guys for one game, and everyone is saying that's everything. No, I'm sorry, but it's not. It's on the quarterback to make those things happen. When you're running around and your offensive linemen don't know where you are, that's a problem. Isn't it funny how all of a sudden, no matter where Tom goes, the offensive line plays better or the defense plays better? Just everybody ups their game. Isn't that funny how that works? And guys like Mahomes can do this. If he wanted to try to do this, he could make it easier for them. But no, his instinct was to, oh my God, they're covering all my guys. I got to go. And he run around. And then it gets all chaotic and crap. So there you go. That's what happens. Now, he's going to run into teams that can't do that, can't defend that way. But when you do run into those teams like that, all hell breaks loose. And it was especially bad for Mahomes because Tom Brady was on the other side of the ball. Well, see it twice. I'm not sure that 44 is a narrative that is outside the spectrum of the game. because age is something that we factor into everything. Age is factored into your contract. Age is factored into how much playing time you get. Age is factored into whether or not you have to retire or a team will pick you up. That is a single point there that is an attribute, like anything else, that matters. And in that sense, I understand what you mean by narrative driven or story driven. I get that. But age itself plays a big factor in the actual game itself and how the quarterback is playing. And to be 44 and still doing these things flies in the face of that. It would be kind of like playing and having an MVP year, but you were injured. Okay, so I don't know if that would be story driven as much as it would be just a fact. And that would mean that you played at a disadvantage and you still won. Well, Tom is playing at a disadvantage theoretically. He is 44. So I could see where people would argue that that is a narrative, that could be a narrative driven, but it seems to me that that is closely tied to an attribute of some sort. The way we would look at other things as well. Like there are other things that just we can't really put on a stat sheet, but they are there and they exist. And also when you consider MVP, you have to consider leadership, you have to consider how you what is your impact on that team? Yes, if let's say Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing for the Packers and Jordan Love was all year, I don't think they're going to be like 4-12 or 4-13. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think they'll probably be like 7-10 or something like that. They'll still suck. To me, that sucks. 7-10 still sucks. I have a very high standard. So I don't even think 11-5 is impressive, and people keep talking about that. Who cares, right? But without Tom, and if you put Blaine Gabbert in there all year, this Bucs team with Blaine Gabbert and Bruce Arians, as undisciplined as these idiots are, you guys watched the Jets game. That is the most pathetic I've seen in a while. That was bad. I thought the Saints was bad. I said that against the Saints. The Jets might be worse. Okay, the Jets game might be worse. Imagine if Tom Brady is not there. Imagine that. The Packers organization itself is more stable than the Buccaneers are. The Buccaneers would completely just implode right now if their quarterback was Blaine Gabbert. So, yes, you could make the argument that Aaron Rodgers, the Packers are bad without Aaron Rodgers. I absolutely agree. In fact, when he leaves, they're done. They're going to just kind of be floating around like whatever, The best they can hope for probably for years and years is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. Maybe they accidentally get in the playoffs some year awkwardly and then lose, or who knows. But that's probably the high point for them. But the Buccaneers, after Tom leaves, holy crap. You're going to see, it's going to be bad, guys. It's going to be awful. It is going to be just complete garbage. Straight up garbage. Well, Daniel, or say it twice, saying that he won because of his age is not the same thing as saying that was taken into consideration. That would be different. But if they were to say, oh, because of his age is why I voted for him. But Tom still has all the other things. He still has more yards, more touchdowns. You also have to consider this. Like again, you do have to consider the situation of the team this year and what the ups and downs are there. So, I mean, someone could argue that Joe Burrow is actually very important to the Bengals, although I don't know. I know the Bengals are excited about their record and all and winning the division. So, who cares? Do something with it, you know? But this is probably also why I don't like the MVP being regular season. So, but it's interesting. But at least we know this. If Aaron wins, we'll know that they just clearly believed that he was the better guy, because that we know now that there will be a bias against them. So there you go. We don't have to worry. You know, it's not like we have to, but it doesn't matter anyway. We know that based on the points that we were saying earlier, we know that history has shown that the MVP can be a bit suspect anyway. So. Yeah, say it twice, but what you were saying was that you don't want it to be you. What I was talking about is response to you saying that it's age is narrative driven, and I don't think it is. I think it is an attribute. It's in itself. It is directly tied to a football player's performance and how they're perceived and how they do out there. It's directly tied to it. It can't be discounted, but if they factor it in, I don't know. So, but I agree, it doesn't need to be factored in. I was just saying that, but it could be. Technically, I guess I don't agree with the fact that it's all narrative driven, is what I'm saying. But no, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. So, again, we could look at the team situation and all the ups and downs they've had and all the injuries and stuff. Do they consider that? We don't know. What does that mean? I mean, that is not something that's quantifiable really on paper. You can't put it in a stat sheet either. Do they count that? I don't know. Maybe they will. So, but I agree, Jalen. I think they're going to give it to Aaron. I think he's going to get it anyway, because I just know kind of what they look at, and there's like a certain kind of formula they go by. And now maybe guys might vote for Aaron because they don't want to be accused of that bias. Now they might be afraid to vote for Tom. It could go the other direction. I don't know. But now that this is out, I just don't trust it anyway. So it doesn't matter at this point. But yeah, absolutely. Tom doesn't need that argument, that 44-year-old argument or anything like that. He doesn't need it. It stands on its own anyway. So. Can we talk about Mike Evans for a second? Mike Evans, if this guy had the heart of Julian Edelman, and the route running ability of T.O., he's got everything else. He's got everything else. If he had those two things, this guy would be the GOAT, probably, or damn near close to it. If this guy was in your foxhole at war, they would be delivering your mother a telegram that says you died because you couldn't depend on him to fight. If Mike Evans is not wide open, if he has to struggle at all, if he has to go up to get that ball and do anything physical at all, he gives up on the play. He just, It is absolutely infuriating. And what's so maddening is that he gets all these yards and all these touchdowns and everything. While doing that, imagine what he would achieve if he had that grit, that heart. Every time Tom targets Evans, I think something bad is going to happen. And that's what's so frustrating, is that sometimes it turns out to be great. It's like, oh man, awesome. And then it just goes terribly wrong the next time. It's all over the place. He drives me nuts, man. He drives me nuts. He just won't fight. He's not a fighter. He will not go up to get the ball. Not if it's contested. He'll let picks happen. He'll let the ball sail over his head instead of trying to jump for it. Tom is throwing. A lot of times Tom throws up, so he thinks, oh, Mike can get it. Mike's going to go for it. He's used to guys doing that. He's used to Danny Amendola jumping with, what was it, like, how high was that dude's vertical in the end zone against Jacksonville? It looked like Danny Amendola was freaking flying through the air. Okay? He's used to these guys going up and getting that ball. And he thinks, okay, Mike's big. Mike's tall. He can get this. You know? And he doesn't go for it. He doesn't go and get it. And his concentration is up. Do you know how many times I've caught this dude not run his route when he doesn't think the ball is going to him? He caused Tom Brady's interception against the Jets. He quit on his route. He didn't care about his route and didn't expect the ball to come to him. I don't know if you guys are on the same page with me on this or not. I don't know if you've noticed or if it bothers you, but I find myself yelling at the TV quite a bit at this dude. He just frustrates me. And that is what's so bad, is because this guy, man, if he is achieving what he's achieved with the way he acts and the way he is, imagine what he'd do if he just turned it on. So that's all I got to say about him, really. Until next week when I get more pissed again. So. Oh, God, Elliott. Have the heart of Anquan Bolden? I have never seen a guy like Anquan Bolden as far as heart, determination, grit, other than Julian Edelman. I think Edelman and Bolden are probably, when it comes to wide receivers, at least, these guys just grind it out, man. Bolden is crazy. So. What the hell does bomb red mean?
That's some kind of a stupid thing. You don't need to promote it on YouTube.
Oh. I thought it was a different language or something. I love this. I'll show this. Someone posted this. Let's see. John Thomas Chavez posted this. You guys are going to like this. Check this out. Signature look of superiority. Jalen, no, Hines Ward was a bit of a dirty player, actually. I didn't like Hines Ward. I thought he was a douche. I didn't like his game. I didn't like the way he played. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of Hines Ward. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have heart, don't get me wrong. It's just, just from what I've seen, Bolden and Edelman seem to have just their crazy levels of it. But I never was a fan of Hines Ward. It didn't. Dirty player, while everybody thought he was he's such a great guy and all stuff. I'm like, this guy's out there like screwing people over, and I don't know. He wasn't my thing. Oh, we're going back real far, Russell. So like I said, there are all kinds of guys. We could sit here all day and name a bunch of guys, but those are off the top of my head. Those are two wide receivers who come to mind when I think gritty, I know it's cliche, but blue collar, hard, tough working, grind it out, will do anything to get the extra yard or do anything to make the catch. I think of Bolden and I think of Edelman. So, but yeah, I have a very, very bad memory of Hines Ward. Like, I just couldn't stand that guy. Did I see the final 15 for this year's Hall of Fame? I haven't. Let me look it up. That's interesting. So they released it. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Okay, so finalists are Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Rondé Barber, Tony Boselli, Leroy Butler, Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Sam Mills, Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, Bryant Young. I do believe that they need, Jalen, I do believe that they need a section for special team specific, because when you are a special teamer, you're usually assigned a position that is not really your forte. For example, Matthew Slater. Matthew Slater, if you pull him up, it shows that he's like an all-pro like 8 times or something like that, right? But his position's wide receiver. So 50 years from now, someone's looking that up and going, oh, who's this Matthew Slater guy? Oh, he's a wide receiver who was all-pro 8 times or whatever. That's misleading. It's like, whoa, what is the sport, Makes it sound like Tom Brady was playing with an all-pro wide receiver for all that time. Well, no. Matthew Slater was in as a special teamer, but that designation doesn't really exist in that context. And I think that's a shame that should be specific. And if they do that, then guys like Matthew Slater could get in as a special teamer, possibly. And then you've got Devin Hester, for example, as a returner. Now, Deion Sanders got in, but he got in as a defensive back. For most of Devin Hester's career, he was just a return specialist. And they tried to get him involved on offense and stuff, but that never panned out that well, not enough for it to matter, But he is the best returner of all time. That's pretty clear. What you guys say? There needs to be a special, designation for that. So he's on the top 15. They clearly are keeping that in mind. Yes. Yeah. Devin Hester, I would make an exception for him because of that. His return ability was insane. Never seen anything like it other than maybe Gale Sayers. Dion used to kind of pull stuff like that, but this was nuts, the kind of crap this guy pulled off. Kickoff returns, punt returns, missed field goals. He returned. I watched him return that crap. It was just insane. This guy. He had those few years where it was just nut job. Did it in the Super Bowl. The Colts were dumb enough to kick to him on the kickoff, the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl. You kicked it to Devin Hester, and the guy ran it back all the way. What the hell? Whose idea was that? That was stupid. But yes, this guy, put him in. Put him in. Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds good, Jalen. I like that. Don't hate me, guys, but Richard Seymour is not a Hall of Famer. He's a Patriots Hall of Famer. But again, I'm going to repeat, my Hall of Fame standards are extremely, extremely high. Yeah, Desmond Howard had that good one against us. God, I hated that. Ouch. Yeah, I just think too many guys get into the Hall of Fame that now it's just it's kind of just like an open door. Come on in, because we need to have 5-7 guys this year. Come on in, and maybe there's only one. Maybe there should only be one some years. Maybe some years there's nobody. I don't know, but it gets carried away. But to be honest with you, only a few of these guys I could say like right offhand that I think are probably Hall of Famers. But to give everybody, a just opinion here, I would need to look at them and see what they did exactly next to everybody else and make a decision there. Like, there would be a lot of consideration, but we probably do that when's the next cuts? When do they cut it down a little more? That'd probably be the best time to do that. So I think it's funny though to see Rondé Barber's name on here. When his brother, Tiki Barber, was an arrogant prick, and he thought he was so great, they're so clever and all this stuff. And I remember he quit on the Giants, and the next year they win the Super Bowl without him. And his brother, the one who wasn't arrogant, the one who wasn't a jackass like he was, is now got his list on the 15 finalists Hall of Fame. I think that's just poetic justice right there. Tiki Barber is a douche. These wide receivers, I think the standard should be a little bit higher. It should be more difficult. I just noticed that they're just bringing in wide receivers like nothing, and I don't know. I think it takes a lot now. It should. But they're just going to keep bringing in people that not necessarily did anything too relevant that deserves a bust. To me, a bust in the Hall of Fame should be a major thing. This should be the ultimate. It's, as they say, it's football immortality, and that you should have to do something insane to get that. And there's been a lot of people who have been getting in the Hall of Fame that I don't consider them that. I don't. And like I said on the last show, if you've had to wait 20 or 30 years to get in, it probably shouldn't get in. That's ridiculous. So you're just getting in because, oh, he's been around a long time. He's been waiting. I mean, okay. So if you're a Hall of Famer, there wouldn't have been 20 years of waiting. There shouldn't have been 30 years of waiting. That shouldn't matter. Like, why? Why did you have to wait? If it's clear, because the longer you go, the less relevant your impact seems to be. So you would think that right after they're eligible, if they were such Hall of Famers and they were so impactful, that it would be apparent within the first 5 years. Maybe, I know there's exceptions sometimes, but for the most part, I think it's a bit ridiculous. No, Jalen, just to answer your question, I think you mentioned Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt, no. No, I don't even think Isaac Bruce should be in the Hall of Fame, and they put him in. So, I don't know. I don't think so. Some people think that my standards are too high. I don't think so. I don't see how it could be. Again, this is an honor that is supposed to be greatest of greats of greats of greats. So. I mean, I know Patriots Nation's wanting Richard Seymour, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's done enough. So. No, Torrey Holt. I saw someone mention Jerome Bettis. No, Jerome Bettis. No. Let's see. What else is mentioned here? Drew Pearson. I don't think Drew Pearson should be in the Hall of Fame. I think that was a nostalgic Cowboys historical move. But if he couldn't get in 30 years ago, why are you getting in now? Like, what was the argument? I'd like to see that conversation and why. To me, it seemed like sympathy or nostalgic entry. And then you've got the dumb entries like the 100th anniversary where they put in Jimmy Johnson and Bill Cowher. Really? Come on. That's unbelievable. Goober64, Kurt Warner is one of my favorite players of all time. And you could argue that maybe he shouldn't be. I could see some people's points. Am I glad he's in? Yeah, personally, I'm glad he's in because he's one of my favorite players. But growing up, my idol was Warren Moon, and I don't know if Warren Moon should be in the Hall of Fame. When it comes to quarterback, should be the highest. That and head coach. Head coach and quarterback should be the hardest ones, the most difficult. The competition should be so fierce that you should be above and beyond anything. Above any questions. And that's also kind of why I've never understood the first ballot, second ballot, third ballot, fourth ballot thing. It makes me wonder, perhaps, this is just posing a question here. If you're not first ballot, maybe you're not a Hall of Famer. So maybe that is my standard. Maybe that maybe without me even realizing it, that's my standard. Maybe my standard is if you're not first ballot, if I don't think you're first ballot, then maybe I don't think you should be in at all. And who knows, that maybe that's true. I just thought of that just now, but maybe that's the case. So Odson may ask, you'd like me to take a shot on a current young player who I think will be a Hall of Famer? Oh, wow. Well, there's a lot, but how young do you want me to get? Rookie, first year, any position? Yeah, Goober, exactly. I love that Kurt is a Hall of Famer. but I'm just being honest with you. I mean, I could see how some people might think that he's not, but if I was in charge of the Hall of Fame, no, I wouldn't have put Kurt in. But a lot of people would not be in. So Dan Fouts would not be in. Joe Namath would not be in. You know, definitely Eli Manning, Roethlisberger, all those guys that's going to get in would not be getting in. So it would be a very small group. We're talking very small and very difficult. So.
Like really the elite, like the VIP can be.
Yeah, it's like take all the best quarterbacks you can think of, and then take the elite of those guys, put them over here, and then take the elite of those guys and then put them over here, and that you've got what I think is a Hall of Famer, or what should be a Hall of Famer, especially for quarterback.
Otherwise, you have to create another category.
Right, you have to create a new category if you don't do that. Because the moment you put in a guy who is not as worth as the other guys, you didn't raise that guy up. You brought the other guys down. The moment you put Eli's freaking face in the Hall of Fame, you have brought down the Hall of Fame. And I like Eli. I have nothing against Eli. It's just true. You have brought down the others. So you're going to put Tom Brady next to Eli Manning? You're going to put Tom Brady next to, you're going to put Eli Manning next to Joe Montana? Really? That's weird. That's not propping up Eli. That is bringing down the other guys. That's what that's doing. You put Bill Cowher in there next to Bill Walsh? Or Belichick? Really? Vince Lombardi? My God, the coaching thing should be way harder than it is. It should be way more competitive. Yeah, thank you, Russell. Bob Greasy. That's right. Bob Greasy is in the Hall of Fame. That is a tragedy. That is unbelievable. Okay, Odds Mate says 1 to 3 years, any position. Okay, we'll start with, let's see. Well, the easiest one right now is Justin Herbert. I think he will be a Hall of Famer. You know, I think he might be in his 4th year. I'm actually not sure, but actually, no, he's been in the league longer than that. I was going to say DeMarcus Lawrence, but he's been in the league a lot longer than that. Time is going by fast, like my head is spinning here. It's crazy. Let's see. No, I never said that Bill Cowher or Jimmy Johnson was a bad coach. That's different than Hall of Fame. They are not, in my opinion, on the level of those other guys. I think as a head coach, I think you need 3 championships probably, in my opinion. I think that's a good number. And if you don't have 3 championships, you need exceptions. So maybe you don't have 3 championships, but was your impact so amazing and so outstanding, so above and beyond anything that you have to, it's just irrefutable, you know? And so there are those exceptions, and Bill Cowher and Jimmy Johnson meet neither of those. Drew Brees? Yeah. I'd put Drew Brees in. Okay, I mean, he's got an All-Pro. I know he's not MVP, but he won his All-Pro the year that the MVP went to Adrian Peterson, I believe. But it's the same thing, basically. He's the best quarterback in the league for that year. Hey, guys, stop fighting. Izzy, just punch Ramses in the face and he'll go away. Okay. He's got a Super Bowl MVP, and the numbers along with that, he's got like crazy, Dan Marino type numbers and stuff like that. And we put Dan in because I know Dan doesn't have Super Bowl. Dan is the exception. Dan is the only exception. He doesn't have a Super Bowl, but what he was doing in the era he was doing it, that's the exception, and that will never be duplicated because the game is going more and more towards yards and touchdowns and all that. So now you have to win. If you don't win on top of the stats, I just don't see how you can have a case. So it's like with Eli. Eli's got 2 Super Bowls, but outside those 2 playoff runs, he was a horrible quarterback. He was never the best quarterback. He was never the best top 5 quarterback ever. Led the league in interceptions 3 times. I mean, no. You've got to have both. You got to have the balance there, and it's just not enough. So you got to get the balance right. Yeah. So. Am I putting in Matt Ryan? No. I mean, we don't know. He might do something. He might. Who knows? He might go to a good team next year and win some Super Bowls. And if he does, then we've got to talk. So yeah, that's different. But are they going to put him in like these idiots are going to put Phillip Rivers in, dude? Seriously. You watch. Within 10 years, Phillip Rivers, they will put that guy in the Hall of Fame. They won't put him the first time probably, but they'll put him in. And it's no. But they will.
Well, after all, it's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Performance.
Hall of very good. I think I missed something here.
He's famous.
Who is the worst Hall of Famer in your opinion? Well, there's a lot of them, but I how about this? I'll go with the most ridiculous. Is I guess because it's quarterbacks, I'd have to say either Joe Namath or Bob Greasy. I think those are pretty bad. But I can understand Joe's a little bit for the significance of his Super Bowl victory over the Colts and how that changed the NFL and helped the merger along. However, that was more of an overall thing that included a lot of people. Joe was never excellent outside of that, as where a guy like Brady, for example, he constantly is excellent. He's excellent in different years with different teams, different teammates, different everything. Constantly is excellent. Namath has that one, and although that was a big moment, I don't know if that was enough. But I can understand their thinking process back then. So I'd probably say Bob Greasy. Yeah, that's the most head scratching of all of them. So. Let's see it twice. Says Matt Ryan's cap hit is $48 million next year. Ouch. Unless he's willing to do something crazy to get out, So I don't even know what I didn't even know what his contract situation was like. Actually, I didn't know when it was up. But if he eventually does go somewhere, else because it's probably not going to be in Atlanta. It's not likely, obviously. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. But if he just keeps kind of plodding along like he is right now, I don't think so. So maybe he'll freak out and ask for a trade or something. But yeah. No, it's not in the cards for Matt. I like Matt. You guys know I like Matt. I wanted the Patriots to try to get Matt last year, but it wasn't gonna work. Like the Falcons said they were interested in trading him, and then they backed out real quick, and so that kind of got killed real fast. And I don't even know if the Patriots would have been able to make that deal work. Be quite honest with you, I can't recall the details of that at the moment. So, but yeah, if he just keeps on this trajectory, I don't see him getting in. But who knows what they'll do? You never know. I mean, they're going to put Philip Rivers in, so yeah. I mean, at least Matt Ryan's got an MVP. At least Matt Ryan's played in the Super Bowl. So Matt Ryan literally has at least what Dan Marino has. So maybe they'll probably put him in. If they're going to put Philip in, they're going to put Matt in. So. And the funny thing is that I actually like Joe Namath, but I just don't think I'd put him in my Hall of Fame if I was hosting a Hall of Fame and had one. So. All right, guys, I'm getting tired. I've been on here for 2.5 hours. I want to thank you guys so much for being on late with me. This seems to be actually pretty cool. It seems to be that there are a lot of night owls. What are you guys doing up? What the hell, guys? Come on. What are you guys doing up this late? Are y'all at work? Do you guys work like third shift? Is that what this is? Where are the Europeans? I was sitting there at the beginning of the show talking about how this was for the Europeans. I don't see no red coat. I don't see a Nightwalker. I don't see Dinnerling or Lord Varsh. Where are you guys? Where's, what's that other guy's name from Denmark?
Vanya is there.
What's his name? Oh, crap. His name escapes me, but where are you guys? Wafu J200 is Redcoat 2.0. So you're from England. Really? That's interesting. Wait, Nightwalker is here.
Oh, is that
What?
Is Wafu Redcoat? No.
Wafu says that Wafu J200 is Redcoat 2.0. I don't know what that means.
Okay. Not the Redcoat.
That's not our Redcoat. I don't think. Wait, Wafu is Redcoat.
Or the Redcoat or a Redcoat?
Huh? Okay, Wafu, if you're the Redcoat, what's your real name? Your full name. You got 3 names. What's your full name? Okay, Wafu, if you're the Redcoat, then tell me your name. Although he spelled my name wrong. Let's go. Okay.
I see.
It's him.
I thought so when he said he was at work at something.
Oh, he's the one that said
He
it's
said
getting in the way of my work.
7:10, it's getting, yeah. I thought about it for a second.
Well, that's right. According to the Redcoat, I am the Axis powers, and he is the Allies, so he will not give me that information. Well, I seen you here all morning. I thought you were a new guy. I saw the Master Chief logo, and which is funny because I was playing Halo the other day because the new one came out. I never connected it. That's so funny. So
I thought of it, but I was like,
yeah, see it twice. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. So that's why I was bringing that up. So him and the red coat, see it twice, Dennerlein and Nightwalker. They consider me. Anybody else was on that show in that game? I can't remember. They consider me the Axis powers. No, wait, Nightwalker doesn't. Nightwalker was on my side because he was the scoreboard guy. That's right. So, okay, it's definitely Redcoat. I could tell by the way what he's saying. So. Oh, but I found it funny how they called me the Axis. I was like, what the hell? How did I end up being the Nazis?
why?
It's like they had a German on their team, and they called me the Nazis. How does this work exactly? This is some bull crap. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna get off here. And we will see you guys at the normal time. Saturday night, we will have a regularly scheduled programming. Wait, not Saturday, Friday, right? The games are on Saturday, aren't they? So it should be Friday. Wait, I think it's Friday. Well, I couldn't see signal, Redcoat. I'm busy doing a show. Oh, yeah, here it is. You did tell me. Okay. Well, sorry. Wow, hell. Well, then. Vanja, where you been, man?
Vanya.
Sorry, I know that. I knew that. He's Macedonian. Vanya. See? It's because of the time zone thing. So. Tiffany, that's awesome. Tiffany's like, I fell asleep and then I woke up and Aaron's still going. That's how I do. That's what's up. Guys, could you please click the like button before you take off? That'd be awesome. And if you want, leave a comment in the comment section. That helps the algorithm and helps people find out about the show. So, okay, for real, I promise I'm going now. Just make sure to click the like button. It's very, very, very appreciated. Very, very appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now it is Thursday. Yeah, true. Later.
Flag on the play if you're not subscribed to VonAllen Sports. But once you are, we'll make it up to your team in the fourth quarter. You're watching VonAllen Sports, real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now and join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go.